many Americans are unaware that China specifically targets states in the United States to undermine what's going on in the United States of America.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott ratcheting up both our state's offense and defense against what he sees as an ongoing security threat from China. The governor has ordered all state agencies to divest from investments originating in China. In addition, Abbott issued so-called hardening directives, including intensified background checks and prohibitions on doing business with companies owned or controlled by China or other adversary nations. Panel Abbott has also ordered DPS to intervene when Chinese dissidents living in Texas are actively harassed by the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, Chow, thoughts here?
Well, I mean, I look, as an Asian American immigrant growing up in this city, I know what that feeling of persecution feels like. My biggest concern, and I think Representative Wu would agree with me, is sometimes we start conflating this Chinese hate to Asian hate. And we saw that during COVID, right? We saw it. It's very scary for Asian Americans to feel like they're persecuted because they're Vietnamese or Filipino or Japanese, or even Chinese Americans. So while I understand we have to protect our citizens, I just caution against what lessons we learned during COVID.
Gary, 30 seconds.
And the way to address that is to talk about specifically what you're trying to do, which is Chinese government controlled businesses, and what they're trying to do here, harassing Chinese citizens and buying land near our Air Force bases and Army bases and the like. This is a national security threat, and what the Chinese government knows is what Chow said. It's going to be conflated into anti-Chinese generally, anti-Asian, and that will cause America to hesitate in protecting itself. So that's a big mistake. I think Governor Abbott's on the right track.
Because I talk to Bill King all the time, I know that creating a Chinese government boogeyman overstates the threat, and that's Gene Wu's position and the position of others. What's the real deal with China?
Well, look, China's behavior is awful, and they do a lot of awful things in this country, but so does Iran, so does Russia, so does anybody that's adversarial to the United States. It's become a playbook for all of us. This idea that somehow China is an existential threat to the United States is ridiculous. This is a country that is in demographic collapse. The UN is projecting they'll have half as many people by the end of this century as they have now. They will be the fourth largest country by the end of this century. Their economy is teetering. There are more people in China that don't have running water and sewer today than live in the United States. This is a backward third world country. It is no threat to us militarily. It's no threat to us economically. It is not a threat to the United States. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But look, I tell you what is a threat is Harris County Commissioner's Court raising my taxes, and Greg Abbott's going to do something about it. I wish he'd do something about that.
All right, Bob, 30 seconds.
So China is a threat to the United States. It may be a backward country, but it's a very modern military. It's a very modern government that is taking action against us. I interviewed Senator Bob Hall about 10 years ago about hardening our facilities, because our facilities, particularly the electrical grid, are at risk from cyber attacks. And we haven't done anything over that period of time, or very little over that period of time, to take care of that issue. The governor's wanted to harden our facilities, to stop the investment of Texas funds into Chinese Communist Party run businesses, and to protect Chinese nationals who are living in the United States from these dissident police that are coming after them. So there's three actions being taken, and the governor's taking a solid stand.
Quick final word from Nyanza.
I agree with the governor. I do believe that any threat to the United States should be dealt with swiftly, with disregard to anybody's feelings about it, because the artificial intelligence campaign that China can lodge to the United States is something that could pose a real threat to American citizens. So I feel like he should go all the way.
We're going to talk about it more.